Himalayan Dreams, the story of Som Tanang. A new book has been launched today telling the life story of the founder of Friends of Himalayan Children. The organisation is volunteer-run, humanitarian. It works in remote rural communities in Nepal and in Kathmandu. The aim is to improve the lives of vulnerable women and children through better access to quality education, training and community development projects. The author of Himalayan Dreams is Kirsty Nancarrow with me now. Good morning, Kirsty, and happy International Women's Day.
Happy International Women's Day, Kia. Thank you.
Why does Som Tanang's story have resonance on this day?
Because International Women's Day isn't just about celebrating the achievements of women, it's about the people that lift women up. And Som Tanang's life work has been about empowering women and making change. And he's done this through Friends of Himalayan Children in his community in rural Nepal called Batasi village. So when he was growing up, he could see that women were treated differently in the community, and often girls would disappear from his village. And he eventually found out when he was a little bit older that it was because they were often being trafficked to places like India for the sex trade, and they either didn't come back, or if they did, they were surrounded in shame. And really the lot for women when Tom was growing up was all about getting ready to get married very early and contributing to the household, having children and doing farming chores. Education didn't factor in. So he very much wanted to change that. And through his work, he's pretty much, I'm not overstating it to say, saved a whole generation in his village from early marriage and child trafficking.
And not just saved them, perhaps, Kirsty, but also given them a completely new direction in life. As you say, it's been a generation that's gone through. What have some of those that were girls that are now women have gone on to do that they wouldn't have had the chance to do?
So Som's sister, Fulmaya, was very much on the path to having this ordinary life that was the cultural norm in Nepal. But Som was determined to go against his parents and insist that she go to school. So he funded her education. And as a result, she has now got a Bachelor of Pharmacy. She's working as a pharmacist in Kathmandu. There hasn't been much of a trekking industry since the pandemic started, but she also became one of Som's lead trekking guides. So she has regularly taken people like myself to Everest Base Camp and one day hopes to summit Everest. There's another girl, Kamala Tamang, who I actually taught in the Batasi school in 2016, who is, as we speak, finishing off a high-altitude mountaineering course with Conrad Anker's organisation, and very much will realise that dream of being a guide that takes people to the summit of Everest. So from such humble beginnings, these women are now, like, the world is their oyster. So they have really taken this opportunity to have education with both hands, and they're now leading their community.
How do you manage to get quality education access to it? I'm thinking about the internet, those sorts of things too, Kirsty, in such a remote part of Nepal.
It takes a lot of initiative and a lot of creative thinking. When I first taught in the school in 2016, the school hadn't been rebuilt post the 2015 earthquake, so the kids were just learning in a tin shed with a dirt floor in all weather. And you know what? They're so passionate about having the opportunity of education that they turn up every day in clean school uniforms. They're there at night working by candlelight because the power is regularly off to get their schoolwork done. And there's just an incredible commitment. So they do it largely without technology. Thankfully, a few years ago, they were able to get some internet into to parts of Batasi. And more recently, the support of Cairns Rotary Sunrise, they've been able to boost the internet connection. There's now a library which has some wonderful online resources that the kids can use, and they just took delivery last week of 10 laptops which have been supported by Cairns Rotary Sunrise. So technology is gradually coming into Batasi, but the lack of technology hasn't stopped these young people achieving their goals and seeing through their education.
COVID has had a huge impact on SOM's ability to raise money for the school, for the boarding house. How has the charity been surviving?
Very, very slim margins, and SOM has actually been continuing to pay some of his guides from his own pocket because that was their income gone, the trekking industry. He has a business called Take On Nepal, and of course when the pandemic hit, all of that stopped, all the tourists stopped coming, all that income stopped coming. So he's continued to fund their wages through his own work in residential care here in Cairns. Obviously, the fundraising activities haven't been able to happen, so largely existing on the generosity of people in the Cairns community and those around the world who have been touched by SOM's work and had a chance to volunteer, like myself in Batassi Village. But there is always a desperate need for help. So I myself have sponsored 3 children in Batassi, and it's something that anybody can do. And I can tell you firsthand, the money goes exactly where it needs to go. There's no overheads. It's all going into getting these kids to school, feeding them in the hostel, and giving them opportunities they would not have otherwise.
Kirsty Nancarrow, author of Himalayan Dreams, the story of Som Tanang, launched this morning. Kirsty, thanks for your time.
Thank you, and I have to acknowledge the Cairns Regional Council and the Queensland Government for helping me write this book through the Regional Arts Development Fund. So thank you so much for that support that I've had to make this happen for Som. It's an incredible story, and I can't wait to have it published.
We are looking forward to it, Kirsty. Kirsty Nancarrow is the author of Himalayan Dreams, the story of Som Tanang.